The first half of the 2022 baseball season is done, and I thought it'd be a good time to start looking at some of the most overrated starting pitchers based on their body of work in the first half of the season.
Highly overrated.
And perhaps saying that they're overrated might be a bit harsh, but according to advanced metrics, these pitchers' ERAs are not as good as they might appear.
It's actually an optical illusion.
ERA is a simple way of understanding how many runs a pitcher surrenders for every 9 innings. But if you've tuned into any of the videos that I put out this baseball season, sometimes I'll mention a pitcher's xFIP numbers, but I never really explain what xFIP really means. xFIP stands for Expected Fielding Independent Pitching, and it estimates a pitcher's expected run prevention independent of the performance of their defense. It factors in a pitcher's strikeouts, walks, hit by pitches, and fly balls allowed. It is not a perfect system to identify a pitcher's true value, but it is generally a better representation of performance than ERA. Now, if you'd like to get an in-depth explanation of what xFIP is and how it works, I recommend checking out Fangraphs.com. They have a full page dedicated to the topic, complete with the formula and examples, and I also left you a link to it in the description box. Anyways, with the help of Fangraphs, I found the 5 starting pitchers with the biggest discrepancy between their ERA and their xFIP. From a sports bettor standpoint, this means that these guys may be some of the better candidates to fade in the second half of the season. If you'd like to test this out without putting any of your hard-earned money at risk, of course you can always dip your toe in the water by documenting your picks on the BettorOff app. It's free and you get to shop odds with over a dozen sportsbooks at your fingertips. Anyways, this information did take some time to compile and put this video together, so before we reveal number 5 on this list of overachievers, please help a brother out by tapping that like button. Number 5. Michael Wacha. It's easy to look at Wacha's numbers and say he's having an awesome year. He's got a 6-1 record, a low ERA, and a good-looking whip. Of course, it doesn't hurt that the Boston lineup has had his back with some solid run support. But when you look at his xFIP versus his ERA, 1.63 is a substantial jump. His ERA could easily be over 4, however, I would offer a disclaimer when it comes to Wacha. He does play for a squad that is capable of putting up runs, so there may be some good times to fade Wacha, but I think it might be more profitable to look for good opportunities to bet the total to go over when he's starting on the mound. And the same goes for this next guy at number 4, Tony Gonsolin. Gonsolin is 11-0, and while the ERA looks dazzling and the whip looks great, his xFIP is at 3.71. It was a surprise to me that he even made this list. I've watched him pitch a few times this season, and each time I came away impressed. I mean, for me, he passed the eye test, but sometimes our eyes can be our worst enemies when it comes to sports betting. But much like Wacha at number 5, Gonsolin does get the benefit of an excellent lineup at his back, and I don't think that's going to let up in the second half. So instead of looking to fade him, I'd probably say that betting totals to go over is more of a logical bet to make. Number 3, we have Michael Kopech. This is a pitcher I would say is a prime candidate to fade in the second half of this season. His xFIP number suggests that he could easily have an ERA hanging around 5 right now. His numbers in 2021 gave people a lot of reason to be excited, especially with those strikeout ratios. I don't know if his velocity is down or if hitters have just started to figure the guy out, but the strikeouts per 9 innings are substantially lower. Also, something to factor in is that Kopech is going to be pitching more innings than he's ever pitched in his career, so look for some fatigue to set in with this guy. Number 2, Joe Ryan. His ERA of course looks good, but the disparity between his xFIP is 1.77. This is another up-and-coming arm that's going to get into some uncharted waters pretty soon. This season, he's pitched 75 innings. The most he's ever pitched in a season was 123, and that was in 2019 across single A and double A ball. Joe Ryan has also benefited from solid run support so far, and because of his pitch-to-contact style, I do expect his numbers to get worse in the second half of the year. Now, before we reveal who's number 1, I have to share with you guys a few guys that just barely missed the cut and deserve to be on the honorable mention. So the dubious honors go to Justin Verlander. A difference of 1.44 is definitely significant, but a couple other things to consider. Verlander's getting up there in age, and the past 2 years he was recovering from injuries. Sandy Alcantara. This was another name I did not expect to make this list. Everything that I've seen from Alcantara this season just looks like he's putting it all together this year, and he's starting to realize that immense potential that he has. But hey, maybe my eyes are playing tricks on me. His xFIP suggests that he can't keep putting up these type of numbers based on his performance. Alek Manoah. This is a guy I was pretty high on coming into this season. He has some nasty stuff, and he plays on a team that can give him some serious run support. That said, the big righty's getting into some uncharted territory, so I won't be surprised if there's some drop-off in the second half of the season. Number 1, we have Dean Kremer. With an ERA at 2.59, you might think that this guy is a diamond in the rough, but according to his xFIP numbers, it's fool's gold. This is Kremer's third year in the bigs, and he has never pitched more than 54 innings in his previous 2 seasons. So far this year, he has 41 innings under his belt. With the difference of 2 full runs between ERA and xFIP, Kremer would appear to be a prime candidate to fade in the second half of this year. Now keep in mind that this does not mean that you should bet the farm that these guys are going to lose every time they go out there. You should still be doing your own due diligence before making your bets, and you should still practice good bankroll management, which basically means that you should never bet more than 5% of your entire bankroll on any one bet. But keep an eye out for these guys that I mentioned, because there are going to be some good opportunities to make some money off of them if they appear to be overvalued. Of course, I will be sharing picks throughout the rest of this baseball season and featuring some of the top profiles from the BettorOff app, so start using it. If you want to stay locked and loaded with us here, subscribe and tap that bell. Thanks for watching, and until next time, best of luck banging on the books.